Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In a previous video, we have seen the numericals based on critical angle, numerical aperture and V number that is normalized frequency. Today we are going to discuss about the optical devices in that light source as a LED. Okay, so as we know that the fiber optic cables are used to transfer the data from transmitter to the receiver station, but the data transmission through optical fiber takes place in the form of light rays. So at the transmitter section, it is required to convert the incoming electrical signal into an optical signals, and for this purpose optical sources are used, and the various optical sources are available from visible range to that of infrared range. Similarly, at the receiver station, if it is again required to convert an optical signal into an equivalent electrical signal, then for that purpose the different optical detectors are used. So in this video, we are going to study about the light emitting diodes. So as the name indicates that light emitting diodes, here the light output is obtained at different currents and by the application of low voltage. The light source emits the light at a different wavelengths, right from again ultraviolet region of electromagnetic spectrum to the far infrared region. But practically, these LEDs can give out the wavelength up to 500 nanometer. So these LEDs are divided into two groups. The first is visible LED and the second is infrared LED. If we are going to consider about the visible LED, then it emits the light in the visible spectrum, which is generally ranges from 5600 angstrom to 7000 angstrom, while this infrared LEDs emits the light in infrared region, which is generally ranges from 1.2 micrometer to 9000 angstrom. So friends, before going to start the principle and construction and operation of the LED, first of all we must know what is the difference between your electron and hole. So in first part of this video we are going to discuss about the difference between electrons and holes, and later we will start the principle and the construction as well as working of the LED. Okay, so as we know that in a semiconductor, the electron and holes are the two charge carriers which are present in semiconductor material, and the electron is the majority carrier in n-type semiconductor, and hole is the majority carrier in p-type semiconductor. Okay, so the n-type and p-type semiconductors are called as extrinsic semiconductor, as these are doped with the external impurities, that is p-type has trivalent impurity and n-type has a pentavalent impurities. The intrinsic semiconductor, that is pure form of semiconductor, is doped with impurities to form p and n type of semiconductors. As we know that the intrinsic semiconductors behave as an insulator at an absolute 0 degree Celsius, and the electron and holes have same mass and charge, but electron has a negative charge while hole has a positive charge. So basically, as we know that this value, the electron is negatively charged and having its value minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus of 19 coulomb, and the hole is positively charged and its value is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus of 19 coulomb. For electron, this value is minus, that is negative, and for hole it is positive 1.6. Okay, and the mass of electron and hole is equal to the 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. Okay, so my dear friends, a hole is said to be absence of electron in the valence band, Then this question is that how will a physically non-existing element have mass and charge? This can be understood with the help of this figure. Here assume the semiconductor at room temperature, and there will be a continuous breakdown and creation of covalent bonds in the valence band, which is generation and recombination of electron and holes. Consider this: a bond breakage takes place and the electron will move from one location and occupy another vacant location in the valence band as follows. So here again, in the series of diagrams, the location of electron moving from right to left, and it can be seen which resembles as if a hole is moving from left to right. Okay, so from the above series of diagrams, an electron movement in the valence band is considered as a hole movement in opposite direction, and thus a physically non-existing material has mass and charge. So in semiconductor materials, hole is always considered on a valence band and electron is always considered in conduction band. So I think it is clear to you. Next, we will move towards the principle of operation. When free electrons from the higher energy level gets recombined with the hole, then it gives the light as output. And here in case of LEDs, the supplies of higher level electrons is provided by the battery connection. Here we can see this is the symbol of LED. The length of anode terminal is made longer than that of cathode terminal. Okay. Next, construction and operation of LED. The LED consists of an encapsulated chip of semiconductor diode with the suitable lens. This is your encapsulated chip of semiconductor, which is having P and N region, and which is having again two terminals as shown in figure. Here the diode is made forward biased, and here this battery supplies the holes into the P region and electrons into the N region. These holes and electrons supplied by the battery and called as the injected charge carriers. Now these injected electrons near the potential barrier gets recombined with the holes. That means electrons are falling from higher energy level to the lower energy level, which can be shown in this transition of electron diagram. Here when this transition occurs, then the energy is radiated out. In case of ordinary diode, the recombination is also taking place, but the photons are not radiated. Only the heat is developed because of the recombination. Okay, but in case of LEDs, because of the use of material such as gallium arsenide or the phosphorus, the photons are radiated out. Okay, so here we have to just make the forward bias mode, and that is the P terminal of a semiconductor material gets connected to the positive terminal of battery, and end region of that semiconductor is connected to the negative terminal of battery. And in reverse bias mode, these polarities are just reversed. That is, this positive part is connected to the negative and negative part is connected to the positive. Okay, but here remember we have to make the forward bias connection. Okay, next, so generally we can say here there are two types of transition takes place. The first is a direct transition and the second is indirect transition. In case of this direct transition, the electrons directly fall from higher energy level to the lower energy level, that is from conduction band to valence band. Okay, but in case of indirect transition, because of difference in the moment of electrons and holes, the electron when falling from conduction band, they are stops at the intermediate energy level. Okay, so here one intermediate energy level is present, which is called as metastable state. Okay, and here at this metastable stage, the electrons are staged for a certain time, and then after that it will reach to this valence band. So definitely the time required for indirect transition is more than that of direct transition. Okay, so the next part of this video, we will see the different LED structures. So there are 5 types of LED structures. The first is planar LED, second dome LED, third surface emitter LEDs, fourth edge emitter LEDs, and last superluminescent LEDs. Out of these, the planar and dome LEDs are cheap plastic encapsulated and find more application in normal use, but their infrared versions are used in optical communications. Whereas the surface emitting and edge emitting LEDs are extensively used in optical fiber communication. Okay, so the next we are going to see here the structure of planar LED. So it has the simplest of the structure. In this p-type, diffusion is grown over the whole surface of gallium arsenide substrate, and this is done by either liquid or vapor phase epitaxial process. So that a junction is created here, which can be shown in this figure 2.6, and this PN junction, when forward biased, then current flows through it, and it gives the spontaneous emission which emits the light from all surfaces. Okay, so here the light is emitted from the right, left, and above, that is from all surfaces. Okay, but however, only limited amount of light escapes the structure because of internal reflection, thus decreasing the radiance of the device, which shows the low efficiency of these types of devices, and that is the only one reason they find more use in a normal application where efficiency is not important. Okay, next type of structure is dome LED. In this type of device, the efficiency, which was poor in planar LED, is being increased by forming a dome of N-type gallium arsenide around a diffused P-type region. This way, the internal reflection can be reduced by improving the critical angle of the internal emission, which is reaching the surface, and thus the diameter of this dome is decided to have improved critical angle. Okay, but due to the increased active recombination area, which causes effective emission area, that's why the area is also increases, and which reduces the radiance. The structure is as shown in this figure, that is in figure 2.7. Here this is your anode terminal, this is cathode terminal, and here the N type substrate is used for the covering the dome, and the light output is light is emitting from the that dome surface. Next is the surface emitter LED. In this type of LEDs, radius is more improved as compared to other two, that is from dome LED and planar LED. The total coupled optical power is more, reducing the losses due to high active region, as was for dome LEDs. The structure of surface emitter LED is as shown in figure 2.8. It has a double heterojunction structure, that is p-type gallium arsenide layer is sandwiched between a p-type aluminium gallium arsenide and n-type aluminium gallium arsenide layer, which restricts electroluminescence only in gallium arsenide junction layer, providing good internal quantum efficiency and high radiance emission. Also here the light is emitted without reabsorption. The structure has a well etched through the substrate of the device, into which a fiber is then connected by epoxy resin in order to accept the emitted light. The circular active area is called as emission area, This is kept very small, which is approximately 15 micrometer in diameter, so that the light emitted from this active area, which is of Lambertian pattern, that is 120-degree beam width, and it is totally directed into the fiber. It reduces the power losses in coupling. Okay, so this table can give you a brief uh, information about the gallium arsenide infrared LED and gallium arsenide phosphorus visible LED. In first column, the gallium arsenide infrared LED, which radiates light in always infrared region, and the gallium arsenide phosphorus radiates light in visible region. The gallium arsenide infrared LED possesses the direct transition. That means the electrons are fall from directly from higher energy level to the lower energy level. But for the gallium arsenide phosphorus, it possesses the indirect transition. That means the electrons are cannot directly reach to the lower energy level. They stay some time at the metastable state, which is called as your intermediate stage, and after some time they are trying to reach towards the lower energy level state. Next, third point is most of the incident energy is radiated in case of gallium arsenide infrared LED, and in gallium arsenide phosphorus, some of incident energy is converted into the heat. Here the band gap of gallium arsenide is near about 1.4 electron volt, and for gallium arsenide phosphorus it is about 1.97 electron volt. Here the wavelength of light is up to 885 nanometer, and here the wavelength of light is 630 nanometer. So we have covered the construction, principle, and operation of LED. Last part of this video is we are going to study here the advantage, disadvantages, and applications of LED. So the advantages are they are small in size, they are light in weight, the LEDs are mechanically rudged, they have a lower operating temperature, no complex driver circuitry is required for the LED, switch on time is very small, they have a higher speed, they are also available in different colors, they have longer life compared to lamps, linearity is more, they are compatible with integrated circuit, and the cost is low. But there are certain disadvantages of LED also. Here the first is output power gets affected by the temperature variation. So if we vary the temperature value, then automatically which will affect the output power value. Next is the quantum efficiency is very low, and third, it gets damaged because of over voltage and over current. So that's why the LEDs are always operating at a low voltage value. Next is the applications. So as we know that there are many applications where we can use LED. The LEDs are used in various types of displays. They are used in source, in optocouplers, used in infrared remote controls. They are used in indicator lamps for the indication purpose. They are used in light batteries, and they are also used as indicators in measuring devices. So this is all about LED. We have covered the all points regarding the LED from the construction, working, principle, advantages, applications, and disadvantages. And so ending this session with motivational quote, that is, with the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. So be strong, be motivated, be confident. Thank you so much.